Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for attending the media call and in person here today. We have a very special announcement. I'm excited to officially announce that Bellator will be moving from the Paramount Network over to the CBS Sports Network starting October 1st. One of the things that really is exciting for me is now domestic and international events will air on CBS Sports Network, and it'll be live. So you'll see different times coming from the fights in Europe, and you'll see times from the United States where both coasts will air it live, unlike before when we had to wait on the West Coast for the programming. So this is something our fans have been looking forward to for a long time, and so finally we're able to deliver it. And again, this is a function of all the different platforms available to us from the Viacom family, and we're happy to make the change and be over on a sports network. But I will say this, Viacom's commitment to mixed martial arts has been strong since 2005, and since 2011, Viacom has been supporting mixed martial arts through Bellator, through MTV2, through the Spike Days, and on Paramount, and now because of the merger, we're able to shift over to a sports channel, so even CBS Sports Network. So that's a little bit of the history. Now let's talk about the events. The very first event that will air on CBS Sports Network will be the fight from Milan, and that will be October 1st, and that will air at 4 p.m. Eastern here. It's on a Thursday, and be Paul Daly versus Derek Anderson. And the second fight will be the Saturday, October 10th fight from Paris, from the Accord Arena. This is something that's been really 4 years, 3-4 years in the making. I'd like to thank a lot of people. I can't thank everybody today, but there's the Viacom government affairs domestically, the Viacom government affairs in France. They've really been the lawyers that have all helped lobby this position of getting mixed martial arts approved. Listen, we weren't the only ones, and there was a lot of people chipping in. So it really was an effort by the whole mixed martial arts community to try to get MMA approved, and it took a long time. But we're finally here, and I'm very honored, and I'd like to thank the French Federation of Boxing, the French Federation of Mixed Martial Arts, the French Ministry of Sport, to allow us, Bellator, to do the very first fight in the history of the country. So it's a very big deal. This is monumental. Again, it's something that we've been working really hard for the last 3-4 years, and look forward to October 10th. The next fight is the first fight that we'll do domestically, and that will be a fight between Chris Cyborg and Arlene Blencow. So to me, that's a very big fight. We're gonna do here at the Mohegan Sun. That's gonna be Thursday, October 15th. It'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that fight will be live on both coasts, as we discussed earlier. And when we're ready to announce some of the undercard fights, we will do that in a very short time. And I do have one more great fight that we're gonna announce today that really hasn't really been talked about, and that's the fight on October 29th. Douglas Lima, our current welterweight champion, will move up to fight Gegard Mousasi here at the Mohegan Sun, October 29th in prime time on CBS Sports Network. So I feel like we've made up all the fights that we had originally planned before COVID hit. And yes, it's a different situation, but I feel like we're delivering, and October is going to be a massive month for Bellator, and I'm really excited about the fights that we're bringing to CBS Sports Network. On another note, just to make sure everybody understands, October 3rd in Dublin, October 10th in Milan, and November in Tel Aviv, the fights that we traditionally have done live and in person and done arena shows, those dates will be canceled because we're doing the fights that we talked about earlier, and those will be, Milan will be no audience, but Paris, we'll be allowed to have 5,000 people in the building. So it'll be the first time Bellator, or I think any mixed martial arts in Western Europe or North America, will have a live audience back. And it's not going to be the full arena, but we are allowed to have 5,000 people. So we are very excited about that. At this time, I'd just like to open for questions.
All right, we're gonna start with a couple of questions from the people in the audience here with us, and if you have questions for the online audience, please raise your hand. Nolan?
Hey Scott, congrats on the deal. Talk to me about changing from a network like Paramount, which you obviously had a lot of good shows on, and you're leaving that behind. But going to an actual sports network, you just talked about the flexibility that you're going to be able to air live events. Just talk about how much more of a relief that is to not be asked that question by us anymore.
Yeah, it's only been, I think, 6 years, but I got used to the question, and really we tried to find a lot of different solutions, but it just didn't work out. But now, being on CBS Sports Network, a true sports channel, and all the different affiliates that they have. And one thing I forgot to mention, our undercard fights for all these events that we do for CBS Sports Network will air live on CBSSports.com. So people can go to CBSSports.com and watch the fights live, as well as the Bellator YouTube channel. So those will be the two locations that people can come migrate and watch live prelims from anywhere in the world, and here domestically. So listen, I'm very appreciative of Paramount and all the leadership at Viacom for continuing to believe in mixed martial arts. But when the merger happened, really that's when things opened up, and we started thinking about where we could go, how we could start blowing this brand up a little bit more, and doing different fights on different networks. And to me, this made a lot of sense. And when the offer came, we said okay. So it's a great opportunity for us, and we're going to be there. I think you'll see a lot of HQ, CBS HQ. You'll see us on the .com. You'll see a much bigger presence of Bellator around the whole platform.
Going along with that, I'm sure one of the questions a lot of people are wondering is, could we ever see Bellator jump up and be on CBS, a national show on them?
Yeah, what I will say is, look, this is all one family, right? I mean, this is one, and I think that to me, it's like I believe that we will get there, but there's other platforms now too. There's a bunch of platforms on the Viacom owned channels that I'm excited to have conversations with. Let's put it that way. But CBS Sports Network, they've been great to work with. It's been a lot of fun, and I think you'll see us cross-pollinate with all their other sports from time to time, and you'll see a lot of presence of Bellator in the future.
And I know when mixed martial arts was legalized in France, you had actually issued a statement at that time talking about how excited you were and how you wanted to go there. How important was that to you to be the first one of a major promotion to hold a show in France?
I'll tell you, it's been a battle. To me, we thought it was going to happen 2 years ago. We thought it was going to happen 3 years ago, 1 year ago. But, it kind of reminded me of California a little bit, when they gave us the first show back in '06. And it kept getting postponed, and a lot of politics in a sense. And, I feel like there's probably 3 or 4 people that would love to have the first show. And the fact that they gave it to us makes me feel really strong about going there and doing this event and continue to do business in France and different parts of Europe that I think we have a really good foothold on.
And going along with that, another first is the fact that you're going to be having fans in the arena. Talk to me about the process of figuring out that whole ordeal. How tricky do you think that will be to integrate that into the system you already have?
Yeah, so it won't be kind of like a close set like you're seeing, today in boxing and MMA, and even for our shows here tonight and tomorrow. You'll see more of an open arena. But this is something that we didn't, we don't regulate what the country and what the city will allow. It's really decided by their health department, and we had to get it approved by the Viacom COVID task force, which we did. And France is already currently doing boxing and different events where they allow limited audience. And so they gave us a number of 5,000. I think the arena holds about 16, maybe 18,000 people. And France has a big history of martial arts support, and they did a show called the Budo Gala, which was one of the biggest. They would sell out 2 days of 18,000 people each day of just forms and weapons and like demonstrations. And I saw some great kickboxing fights in this venue back in the 90s with Rick Rufus and Rob Kamen and Peter Cunningham, Dita Diafat, all the guys that were the big stars back then. So France has a big history of martial arts. They love martial arts, and we're proud and appreciative to be the first ones in France to do this historic event.
Great, thanks.
In terms of getting on this kind of network, were there any other networks or platform streaming services are so big now where anything like a Hulu or anything like that also in play along with this, or it was always them and they were always the main option?
I'll tell you, we had conversations internally about, do we want to offer this to other vendors, or to other outlets. And the answer was no. Viacom wants to keep this as an internal product, and so I think you'll see us, inside the Viacom family, and maybe on different platforms and different channels. But Viacom is our home.
How important is it to be on a sports network and compared to a network that has regular TV shows and it's just a part of their portfolio? Do you feel it's a big difference in terms of promotion, how it's presented, being in connection with other sports? Is it a big deal? Does it take Bellator and the brand to an even higher level in the sports lexicon?
Yeah, I believe in that it will take the brand to a higher level in the sports sphere. But with Paramount, what you got a different audience, right? So, one of my favorite shows, maybe the best produced show on TV right now to me is Yellowstone on Paramount. And I love that show. And it was great to see, I was watching Yellowstone and here comes our commercials, right? So you have 7, 8, 10 million people watching Yellowstone, and they're not all mixed martial arts fans, they're not all sports fans, but they're getting the Bellator messaging. And so to me, that's a different audience that would come over and migrate to watch our fights. And now I think you'll see a much more centered sports fan that comes and tunes in to these fights. But if you look at this lineup, this is a killer lineup for October, and doing 4 fights on CBS Sports Network, and they're all going to be live everywhere in the world, and it's going to be fantastic.
How do you feel this move is going to narrow the perceived gap, so to speak, between you guys and the UFC? Do you feel like it's going to really make you guys really on par with them here moving forward?
I don't look at it like that. I mean, to me, it's like they're doing their thing and we're doing our thing. That's always been my philosophy. It's like, look, they're in the mixed martial arts business and we're in the mixed martial arts business. And yes, we do have, the best light heavyweight division in the planet. I can tell you that for sure. But other than that, look, they're doing their thing. I wish them luck. We're doing our thing. And you know what? Combined, it's we're all helping rise the tide of mixed martial arts and contribution. But they might not look at it like that, but it is what it is.
Question from the audience here, Damon.
Hey Scott, congrats on the move. I was curious, and I apologize, I didn't think this was addressed yet. What's going on with the DAZN deal?
Oh, you know what? I know there's still dialogue with us and DAZN, and we're just waiting to see what happens and when they get back and start doing big fights again. And I don't really have an answer other than we're in dialogue and we're just waiting.
And I know as part of the restructuring, I know Steven Espinosa is working with Bellator as well now, and I know that you guys did the partnership with Mohegan Sun, bringing in Showtime Boxing as well. You said there's a chance of doing different shows on different Viacom networks. Is there a possibility of still doing something with Showtime in the future?
I hope so, and that's really one of the original networks that allowed MMA to be on there. And Steven has a great knowledge of boxing and mixed martial arts. So we're definitely hoping that in the future we'll have some dates with Showtime, but it hasn't been fully fleshed out yet.
And last thing for me, you mentioned the shows being broadcast in real time. I know that was one of the biggest issues with international shows and then the West Coast shows. How much did that play a part in the broadcast change, being able to have everything at one time, having the shows all air in real time? Because I know that was something you guys have been dealing with for years.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a factor in the move. I think the move was more of a corporate strategy shift and the availability of different platforms once the merger is complete. I mean, the merger happened and then COVID hit and then everything just kind of shut down. And now that things are starting to loosen up and starting to move forward, and I'm not saying business is as usual, but it's definitely some more movement and some more things happening, and that's when we decided to make the move. And I think that Paramount is happy with it. CBS Sports Network is happy with it, and we're gonna go for it.
So I have a question about dealing with the French Commission or the sports agency there. Since it is their first sanctioned MMA show, what were they requesting, or can you tell us what rules they'll be recognizing? And, with first show, like when New York State legalized MMA, there were a lot of wonky outcomes that came out with some fights. I'm just curious to know what's the French Commission dealing with in terms of rules and sanctioning all that stuff.
Well, I do know that there's been a lot of meetings back and forth within their organization, the Minister of Sport, and the French MMA is governed by the French MMA Boxing Federation. And so, you know, they have knowledge of, you know, there's referees, there's officials, there's timekeepers, scorekeepers, that sort of thing. So there will be some meetings that we'll probably have with them in the near future, but you know, what I told them was, you know, we had a Zoom call and I said, if you guys need any help, you know, please let us know. This is your country, we'll abide by your rules, but this is the, you know, rules that, you know, that we abide by, and we're happy to send over anybody like John McCarthy, let's say, and go talk about it, or, you know, help them in any way possible. But that's, you know, that's something that we're gonna, you know, as we get closer, we'll have to flush out. But I feel confident that you know, this will all be done in good time before October 10th, and we'll have a great show on the 10th.
Gareth Davies.
Good evening from London. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Gareth.
You look younger since the beginning of lockdown, Mr. Coker.
It's good to stay home and have a schedule.
You
know, not be on the plane food all the time.
Well, I must say, I miss you guys being on the road. Can't wait for the air bridge to open between the UK and across the pond to America. But it's brilliant that you're coming here. Can I just ask you, with regard to Madrid and Paris, will it be within the fight bubble? Will there be, you know, extreme testing and all the things? You've got a Mohegan as well. Will those protocols all be followed in spite of the fact there's a large audience in Paris?
Yeah, the first fight is actually in Milan, Italy. The second fight is in Paris, France. Both.
Oh, sorry, Milan. Sorry, I said Madrid. Yeah, I meant Milan. Sorry.
So Milan will not have any audience, but the fight in Paris will have, let's say, 25% of the arena, which is, I believe, what the number is, 5,000. So we'll be allowed to have 5,000 people there. But you are correct, Gareth, in that we will have to quarantine, test, retest, and the whole week is going to be run just like it's run here. That's the way it was approved by the parent company, and that's what we'll do. So the same process of being at the Mohegan Sun here for the fight week, the fighters will experience the same thing at the fight in Milan and in Paris.
So they'll be bussed from a local hotel. A local hotel presumably will be the protocol area and controlled area of a hotel before they're bussed to the events and so on.
That's correct.
Limited people around the arenas, yeah.
And I do believe that like the arena will be the site. So the arena will have our offices, the arena will have the gym set up, the arena will have all the testing stations in place. And so just like here, where we're utilizing the full arena here at the Mohegan Sun, the arena in the different cities that we're going to will be the bubble. And so the only place they'll go back and forth is from the hotel to the arena, back to the hotel, and then they'll stay in that zone until the fight's over.
Final one for me, because I know there's loads of people around the world that want to ask some questions. There's been a lot of talk about Chris Cyborg and Katie Taylor potentially fighting, and Cyborg fighting in a boxing match against the Irish boxing star. Would you be happy for Chris Cyborg to have that fight and Bellator to have some involvement in it?
You know what? I would be thrilled, because this is a goal that's important to Chris Cyborg. She told me when I signed her, you know, a year ago, that she wants to box and become a boxing world champion. And Gareth, we've been approached by 3 or 4 different, you know, females to fight. But you know, having a boxing fight, a boxing title under her belt is something that she wants to do. My only request is, win, lose, or draw, that whoever she fights will reciprocate and come fight in MMA after the boxing match in 6 months. And then it's fair. To me, then it's fair. Then we would support it and get behind it. But you know, at the end of the day, if this is something she really wants to do, Gareth, we're gonna support her.
Sean Sheehan.
Just a couple of questions, Scott, about the European scene. The Dublin card you announced earlier on has been cancelled. And at the moment, and for the last few weeks, it's still been on the website. What have the talks been like in Ireland with the Irish government, and when was the decision made to cancel that event?
You know, the decision to cancel those events were based upon us getting proper COVID numbers to the COVID task force, Then we go to the city requirements, and then there's the issue of getting into the country, right? So instead of having the events that we normally have, including Dublin, because we love going to Dublin, it's like one of my favorite fight towns to go watch events, because it's just amazing. They're the best fight fans, and we're going to create the bubble, and we're going to bring everybody there. So we do have some announcements to make next week that will add additional dates to some of the fights that we're doing in Europe. But the going to each city and going really became a challenge because of the local the rules and regulations by the health department and then the government, and there's some uncertainty and rightfully so. And because of that, we said, okay, we're not going to go to Israel, we're not going to go to Dublin, we're not going to go to London, we're not going to go, and we'll just create a bubble, and that's where we'll go. Paris is something that's very special. We've been working on this for a long time, and so we decided to do Paris as well. But all the other fights will be in Milan, and you'll have an announcement next week.
The second, just final one for me as well. Is there any update on the Sky Sports deal? I know the deal ended at the end of last year, but the Bellator cards have been on Sky Sports and on for the next couple of weeks as well. Is there any update on that, on any long-term deal or anything with Sky Sports?
Yeah, I think our international sales department is working on that, but I do know that these fights coming up will be on Sky Sports, right? The ones that are from Milan and Paris, or here? Yeah, the ones here. Yeah, this weekend will definitely be on Sky Sports, but I know they're in dialogue, and they've been great partners, and hopefully we'll be around with Sky Sports for a long time.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Edward Carwell.
Hi, Mr. Coker, I'm wondering if, with all the talk with the boxing and MMA deal with CBS Sports, I know the event in Paris also has got a couple of boxing matches attached to it. I'm wondering if, and it might be too far ahead to think about, but I'm wondering if in your mind, as someone that loves combat sports, another, perhaps a hybrid boxing MMA event, dynamite type situation is on your future agenda.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that is a personal goal of mine, and I've been talking to Steven. In fact, I think Steven is supporting it as well. So I think that, I'm not saying when, but in some point in the future, we will put on a hybrid card that will have boxing and MMA mixed, and that will be a very, very cool event.
Thank you.
Go to Giancarlo Alino.
Hi, Scott. One of the things that have been going on has been that Featherweight Grand Prix. Just curious if there's an update on that, and do you have any other divisions in mind if you wanted to go and do that again?
You know what? Of course, the Featherweight tournament got, we had to take a beat because of the COVID situation, and that will continue. And that will continue, I would say, sometime in November. It took us a little bit of time to really start being able to bring the fighters here, like Gegard, like Arlene, that's fighting Cyborg, Glenn Cow. So it took us time, and Pitbull, all of our star fighters, Gegard Mousasi. It took time for us to get the right, contact or, the process to get them in. So now that we're able to do that, we are going to start picking up the speed on the tournament, and you will see AJ fight Darren Caldwell, and you will see Pitbull continue, his journey into the tournament. And as far as something next year, listen, I love the tournaments. I think that creates a lot. Tournaments create stars. When I worked for K1, that's what I really, really understood, is that, these tournaments, if they're done right with the right fighters, they will create stars. And so to me, I think we should continue the tournament. It's nice to have a 7-fight series within our overall series. I think it works. And I think that, to me, the weight class or the female, I think it should be a female tournament. And, I'm not committing, but I think the 125-pound weight class is very attractive to me.
Speaking of featherweights, I understand Brandon Gertz is dropping down to 145, and apparently he has a fight lined up. Is that something that you're able to announce, or we got to wait a little bit longer for that?
I think you have to wait a little bit longer for that. Sorry about that.
Eddie Goldman?
Hi, Scott. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Eddie.
Okay, how you doing?
Doing good.
A question about, is this part of an upgrade of CBS Sports Network? Because since the re-merger of Viacom and CBS, it looks like they're trying to put more live and top-level events on that network. So do you view it as part of that whole process?
Well, you know, when I watch CBS Sports, I see college football, I see WNBA, I see PBR, I see, you know, a lot of great sports, and now you'll see MMA. And I think that, you know, the way they have embraced us and really wanted to support us and get behind us, it makes me feel really encouraged about the future promotion and all the, like I said, the cross-marketing, the cross-pollination of our sport into regular sport. And I think that it's going to work. I think that it's a good fit for us.
Have there been any discussions about what's planned, what I've been reading about, there's a plan for next year to upgrade and reorganize CBS All Access, their streaming service, and sort of consolidate a lot of the streaming platforms that they have? Has there been any talk about possibly in 2021 or after putting Bellator on a revamped and expanded and renamed also CBS All Access?
You know, those conversations have not happened. We are talking to the digital side, but that's mostly for, you know, CBSSports.com, which will air our prelims, things that are directly related to Bellator. But listen, that CBS All Access app I have it personally. I think it's amazing. You have such great content on there. And, you know, don't be surprised if we do something one day. But right now, you know, we are a CBS Sports Network product, and we're gonna put on some great shows. As you can see, like I said, this lineup is a killer lineup. And you're gonna have Gegard Mousasi fighting Douglas Lima. You're gonna have Cyborg. You're gonna have Paul Daly, Czech Congo, MVP. I mean, it's some, you know, big star power driving Bellator into CBS Sports Network.
Apologies if we didn't get to you. We'll take our final question from Kevin Vargas.
Hey, Mr. Coker, congratulations first of all on the deal with CBS and you know, holding your first event in France. Could you mind walking, like the moment they announced, hey, MMA is coming into France, like did you immediately get in touch and try to see, hey, how can we get the gears working with the French Federation? And how long did the process take before it finally got finalized?
You know, we were in the mix way before they approved the sport of MMA in France. And we were there monitoring the situation, and you know, what happened was when they said we're going to legalize it, then it became, okay, who's going to govern it? Is it going to be the Kickboxing Association? Is it going to be the Judo Association or Federation? Is it going to be the Boxing Federation? And the Boxing Federation won out. And then we had meetings, but we met with all of them. And you know, the process was finding out what's possible, what's not possible, when they'll be ready to go. Then the rules and the regulations was something that we talked to them about, and they had to figure that out. And you know, that there was a little bit of beat between the time we got green lit to actually throwing a fight, which will be October 10th. So I think it's probably about a year of time, maybe even longer, from the time that it got approved. So, you know, it's been a long process, and I feel like this is the final one, because before it was Toronto, New York City, California was before that, and now France is the final stop to get cleared. I don't know of any other, you know, major countries that actually don't allow MMA. Now I think the whole world will be able to watch MMA, and like I said, France is the last stop. So we're proud to host our event there, the very first event in the history of the country of France. And Bellator will be there with Czech Congo in his hometown. It just makes a lot of sense, and we're pumped to do it.
Last question from me.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Last question from me is, you know, the UFC always had ESPN as their, you know, big signing, and now you finally have CBS as your big signing. Can you definitively say to everybody out there in the public, we're our own entity. We don't stop comparing us to the UFC. This is us now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have put on great events, for a while, and UFC has their deal with ESPN, and we are owned by Viacom, which is a CBS, part of the CBS family. So I've always said in the past, even in my past, when I was doing Strikeforce, and Strikeforce was tiny compared to what Bellator is today. Seriously, because we had great fighters in Strikeforce, we had great fighters in Bellator. But as far as the company size and our distribution deal compared to what it is today, it's very small. And the business was small compared to what it is today. So, but they're doing their thing, and you know what? Let them go. To me, it's fine. I don't wake up every day thinking about anything other than how to grow Bellator and how to put on great fights and sign different fighters and grow different fighters. And I think that's something we're very good at, and we're going to keep building stars, and we're going to keep this train going.